There's secrets. Don't tell anybody. Don't put that on YouTube. Film in person.
I always thought that when Bill Cosby was doing comedy, he'd say something and he'd be like, I am God. Use the mic too. So I'm being Bill Cosby right now.
Hi.
Hi.
It's really an honor to talk to you right now.
Thank you.
I just got the book right here, and I was reading Jim Ross's forward, and it said about being a rock star or a wrestler. How do you balance your musical dream and your wrestling dream growing up?
Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be in a band or I wanted to be a wrestler. Those are the two things I wanted to do. Now, growing up in Winnipeg, Canada, you take out the Guess Who and the Crash Test Dummies, not really much of a music scene. So it wasn't like you could just go and be in a band. In wrestling, at least I knew that there was some places to go, and that's kind of where I focused on, on going into that. But I was always really influenced by music, still am. I played the whole time I was, in wrestling. I had a bunch of different bands. I had a band called Great Caesar's Ghost. I had a band called Jesus a Go-Go. I had a band called Blackstone Menace, Mr. Filthy. There was a whole bunch of them. Love Weasel. It was just, writing demos and playing songs and doing that sort of thing. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Actually, it's funny because when I was in high school, I finally got a chance to be at the Battle of the Bands, the high school Battle of the Bands. My band was called Scimitar. And we were a three-piece band playing all Metallica and Iron Maiden songs, which is weird because they're all five-piece bands. And, so, you do what you can. And we finally made it to the high school Battle of the Bands, Scimitar. And we played the first round, and we won the first round, go to the second round, and we did an original song, and we did like a Megadeth song or something like that. And we didn't win that day. We got beat, actually. Just as we started playing, I had this little bass intro, and then when the guitar player came in, I stepped on his chord, and the chord came out, and just went, we're going to start over again, and we're thinking, we're going to start over, so we suck. So anyways, we did the performance, we didn't win, but they filmed it for the local video show. Like it was called like Bundy's Friday Night Videos or something, and they came and filmed the Battle of the Bands. We're like, yes, we're going to be on TV, and we're going to be rock stars, and everyone's going to love us, and so the thing comes on TV, I tape it, we pass it around, Actually, my friend taped it with the guitar player, and he watched it one night, and I get it the second night. So I pop it in the VCR, and I'm like, oh, that's badass, man. Look how cool I am, people cheering, and 12 people in the crowd just going nuts. So I come down the next morning and watch it again, and there's a tape with The Love Boat in the VCR instead. And so I'm looking for the tape, and I'm like, where the hell's this tape? Mom, where's the tape? She's like, well, I don't know what tape you're talking about, but I taped The Love Boat last night. Of course, she taped The Love Boat right over top of Scimitar's shining moment. So what should have been maximum rockicity was like Jonathan Winters and Charo drinking Mai Tais and rising. So that was my less than auspicious rock and roll debut. But I was always really influenced by rock and roll, and David Lee Roth and Paul Stanley, those guys. Like I wanted to be those guys in a wrestling ring, like to be a showman and be a party host and be larger than life character. And the first time I ever went to do a wrestling interview, I was driving to the arena. I was driving to the community center. And as I was on my way there, I heard David Lee Roth was doing an interview for his record. And the guy was talking, and Dave's like, well, you know what, there's a fine line between a pat in the back and the kick in the pants, so let's dance. And I was like, oh my God, it's like the greatest line ever. It's amazing. I have to use this. So I go to the arena/community center, and the guy's like, all right, he's talking, we have our match, and it was me and Lance Starling, this interviewer, and he's going, for Chris Jericho and Lance Storm, Sudden Impact, a big victory this evening, and next week is Fan Appreciation Night. What do you think of Chris Jericho? And I said, well, you know what, Mike Adams, there's a fine line between a pat in the back and a kick in the pants, so let's dance. And the interview's like, what? And Lance Storm was like, what? And I'm like, what? Diamond Dave, save me, what do I say? And the only thing I could think of is the promoter had told her beforehand that next week the midgets were going to be on the show. Push them midgets, people love them midgets. So all I could think of to say was, was finally back to the past, let's dance. The next week we got midgets coming. So that's when I Dave Salad promo wasn't for me at that point. You know, that's what you have to. Yeah, I gave you a big lesson. You have to commit. I mean, it's like being an improv comic, or if you're gonna do something, or play a character, or play a part of acting, you have to commit to it. Make people believe it. And that's what I always did with Chris Jericho. I mean, I was playing a part of Chris Jericho. People say, how can you be Chris Jericho when you're playing a part? I just said, well, Seinfeld was Jerry Seinfeld in real life, and he played Jerry Seinfeld in the show. Similarities, but there's two separate characters. He's playing a character. That's what I was doing with Chris Jericho, and I couldn't make that pat in the back line stick because I just didn't know what I was talking about. But then fast forward 15 years, and I'm saying I told rock and rolla and never ever, and all this preposterous stuff that makes no sense whatsoever. People love it. Ass clown, what does that even mean? When you say it with conviction and you mean it, then suddenly it becomes cool. I get so many people asking me to sign. Can you sign for ass clown? Number one ass clown.
Jericho?
Hey, what's up?
How was it working with the Ultimate Warrior in WCW?
Well, I never actually worked a match with Ultimate Warrior, but when he showed up there, this is when WCW was going through this ridiculous phase of bringing back everybody that had been a star in the WWF. And WCW, like, they really reminded me of a, you can sit down if you want, bud. Relax. They reminded me of like a guy who wins $1 million and then goes and blows it on, you know, hookers and broads and drugs and whatever in Vegas, and then like has nothing left, and then wakes up the next morning and goes, man, I've got nothing. I didn't put any money in the bank, and I have no investments, and I have nothing for the future. That's what WCW was like. They had all of these assets, but they just blew it, and they were left with nothing. And one of the things they were doing was bringing in all these guys, Virgil, DiBiase, Mike Rotundo, Brian Adams, God bless him, but all these guys that like were stars in WWF, but not like massive stars. They just bring in everybody, you know, and Ultimate Warrior was one of them. And when he came in, I mean, it was cool, like Ultimate Warrior, like that's pretty cool. Like everybody loves Ultimate Warrior. I hadn't seen him in a while, and he showed up. He was really nice. Like he was really nice to everybody. You know, big fan of your work, and big fan of your work, and that sort of thing. But I remember before his first appearance, I saw him at the catering table, and he had a cookie. And he had the cookie, and he crushed up the cookie into like a bunch of little pieces. And then he took it and went, he smelled the cookie. He smelled the cookie again. And he was like, what the hell is this guy doing? Throws in the garbage, and that's it. I was like, what is he doing? He said, well, that's how he eats dessert. He doesn't want to actually eat anything, he just smells it. And it gives him the sensation of dessert. So automatically, this guy's just insane. And he had also changed his name legally to Warrior, so that Vince couldn't stop him from using the name Ultimate Warrior. So he's like Warrior Hellwig, is what it says on his license. So then he goes into the ring. It's his first night, and they have this trap door in the ring, but they don't tell any of us there's a trap door in there. So they've actually taken out a piece of the ring, put it in like a steel door. And then, like, when we're working, having a match, and like guys are falling on this trap door. What the hell is that? And actually, David Boy Smith actually really got seriously hurt because they wanted to fool everybody, but instead of telling the guys that are actually in the ring falling on it, they're gonna keep it a secret from us, you know.